glamour. You know, my mom was a singer and she did hair and makeup, and I was like pulled into this world of beauty like at a very young age, you know, and I watched my mom do hair and I watched her perform, and it was something that like amazed me. I thought I wanted to be a singer and dancer, and then one day I like watched her do hair and I was like, God, I want to do that too. So I am my mother's child, that's for sure. And I started to do like my sister's hair, and I cut my own hair. I never went to a barber shop. I never, you know, my mom could tell you now, she's like, I always saved money with him because he just never wanted to go and
she's like,
and
the back of your hair doesn't look that great, but the front looks really good.
Exactly. So I learned at a very young age to, you know, just to do things for myself. And, you know, with hair and having a big family, I just found myself being the go-to guy for hair, you know, and I never knew that it would take me this far, you know, because I thought that I needed to be a performer and a singer and a dancer, and that's how you made it to, you know, that's how you became successful. And you, when you're a kid and you think about like, I want a Porsche when I'm 20, and I'm like, never thinking that hair would do that for me, you know, so it's just...
He has a Porsche, people.
But, you know, we all have those dreams, you know, that's my car, those games, you know, and I never thought being a hairstylist would be the thing that would take me to, you know, this level that I'm sitting on a panel now with you guys and talking about this, you know, but I'm here, so it's all my mom's fault.
Do you hear that, how singing and dancing was something that brought him into this? For me, I can't sing for crap, but I can dance my little buns off.
Hey.
And I was a hip hop teacher as a kid in high school.
See?
And I learned fashion through designing costumes for the students. I had 50 girls on the team, one boy who dropped out after 2 weeks, but which was better because more stage time for me. Exactly. But it was something where I realized that I like to perform. I could design these uniforms at the same time, simultaneously, and maybe there'd be even more money in it if I do fashion, because you know, after 30 dancers, it's like, it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And I learned that at an early age too. You know, like, hey, once this job is over, you really got to get back in the line again and audition and prove yourself over and over again. But I mean, it's no different. We still have to prove ourselves over and over again as, like, you know, stylists. But, you know, it's just a lot different.
And can we all agree, when we've worked with celebrities, rock stars, actresses, models, a lot of times we dress them, we do their hair, we do their makeup as we would do it for ourselves. If we were them. If we were the Victoria's Secret model, how would we do ourselves? If we were, in my case, I dress a Japanese pop star, and I have a lot of fun dressing her in all the clothes I would put myself in. So you have these moments where you're reproducing these elements of your personality on other people, right?
Exactly.
All right, with that, how about my girl, Kira?
Hello.
How pretty is Kira?
Oh, no, stop.
I want there to be a Snapchat filter which just turns me into Kira.
No. You're so
you can market
sweet.
that, girl. Hello, we're in the right place. I know some people.
Well, there is an app called Kira, but it's not
there
mine.
is, right? Who has Kira?
Yeah. Glitter. But thank you, and I'm so excited to be here, you guys.
Yeah, same with you. So your career, I know that you're 6 years in now, right?
Yeah, I started in this industry on accident, actually. I had no plans on becoming a makeup artist. I just happened to know how to apply makeup, and I had product knowledge. And I just enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun for me. And I started putting makeup on my younger sister, who was modeling at the time. And then my cousin, who is an actress, just did her makeup a few times. Then her publicist said, hey, can you do my other clients? And then one thing led to another, and here I am, 6 years later, just kind of, I guess you could say, living the dream. I didn't think it was possible to be like a celebrity makeup artist. So here I am.
I feel like her story sounds unconventional, right? It's like, I didn't go to makeup school and then intern for this person and carry this person's stuff around. But actually, that unconventional story is quite conventional when you really start having conversations in the business of how it happened. I went to fashion school, but when I ultimately got the big job that changed my career, it had nothing to do with me going to fashion school whatsoever. It's because I met the right person and made them smile and they trusted me, right? Do we all agree on that? Have you had that moment where you have someone trust you even though you might not be ready yet? And you just you look at yourself in the mirror, and you're like, dear 20-year-old you, you don't know anything and you have to pretend you do for the next 12 hours.
Well, my guinea pig.
And you have to pick out an outfit to wear. It's the worst.
Well, no. My guinea pig was my sister and my cousin. So that
Did they look like guinea pigs the way you did them the first time?
sometimes, not gonna lie, sometimes. But those were like my tests, you know. I got to test on them, and I know, right?
What are while we have you, while we're introducing you, I want the crowd to know a few of your favorite people to work with.
Oh God, that's really hard because I'm so lucky, hashtag blessed, that I get to work with so many incredible like women.
Name 3.
Oh, well, oh gosh, this is gonna be tough. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see. But no, I love all of them, and they're all so lovely, and I'm like the most blessed person that I get to work with these
I believe
women.
that. I stalked her last night for hours. I was like, let's do this quick, and I was like, her website just kept going and going and going, and I was so enthused by it all. She does beautiful work.
Oh, thank you.
And speaking of beautiful work, Jamie Frankel.
Hi,
So
guys.
this one, another unconventional story. Why don't you tell them how it happened?
Well, first of all, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all for coming. I actually, speaking of random starts, I started as a receptionist at BCBG in their corporate office.
Who loves BCBG, right?
And just like you said, I met the right person in the organization, and I got into their PR department, and I was a PR executive for about 8 years, learning that side of the business, working with stylists and editors and producers on the other side. So it was really interesting to make the transition and recognize that that's actually what I wanted to do. I would help out on the ad campaigns, Hervé Leger behind the scenes when they were having a moment.
Well, they had a moment with a lot of big stars. You probably had access to a lot of people.
Exactly. So, when the stylist came to me, I would be the one pulling for them and sending them things. And I was like, you know what? I would so much rather be on the creative side of things and, building my own business. So I made the transition about 2.5 years ago, and it kind of just took off, thankfully. I've met some amazing people and had the opportunity to, assist some people in the beginning and, meet some of my clients who are now some of my closest friends, people that I trust and vibe with, and I think that's really what it's all about,
Who are some of your clients that the audience would know?
Carolina Kurkova,
How about that?
Nina Agdal.
It's like dressing a mannequin.
She's amazing. Nina Agdal was one of my first clients. We met on a test shoot actually, and I was assisting someone, and we looked at each other, and I'm like, "You're fucking cool," and she's like, "You're fucking cool," and from there we just vibed, and I got to meet a bunch of the other Sports Illustrated swimsuit girls. Have really built relationships around my work.
I believe in her, don't you? It's such a cool story. I love another unconventional story because a lot of us are so committed to doing what we think reality TV tells us to do or the magazines tell us to do. So you can find different ways of following different journeys. I have a dear friend who's a talk show host, and when she gets people who come up to her and say, "How do I be you?" she says, "Google me till it hurts and do everything I did." Every step. Get this job at the news station, get this job at the magazine, go show up to an event and pretend that you're media and interview people. Like, do all those different things, and eventually you will get that street cred inside that develops you to be what you want to be. So, follow us, literally. Natalie.
Yes.
I love her so much. So Natalie's a new friend of mine. She works with a lot of great people. Girl, I know and love Ashley Simpson Ross and Evan Ross. We love them so much. And I see exactly why. I knew Ashley 10 years ago. And she was always sort of looking for someone who understood her whole I wear Chanel with Converse thing, right? And how to really pair all that together. So when I found out Natalie was working with her after meeting her, it totally made sense to me that they would be the perfect match. And just like relationships, just like Tinder, just like all that, you have to find the person who matches with you as a stylist, right? And a lot of times you're on Tinder with them, swiping along after the fitting. Like, we've all been there for all that stuff. Yeah. So why don't you give them a little idea of how you started in all this and how you found your creative?
Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. So I started actually interning at Teen Magazine when I was 15 years old. My mom was like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" at 15. And I was like, I don't really know, but I knew I wanted to do something in the like entertainment industry. So I got to Teen Magazine, and I really wanted to do entertainment journalism all of a sudden, because I was really into writing. So I was their first intern that they've ever had in LA. And
Round of applause, people. Come on.
I started internships. No, I'm kidding, but yes. So I did that, and then I got thrown on a prom photo shoot one day. They were like, "We need extra hands." I was like, "Okay," never did it. And I was like steaming prom dresses, and they were like plus size prom dresses too. So it was just like
lots of fabric.
It's
a lot of work.
But
no,
it was a lot of
when
work
there's
just
that fabric.
steaming these dresses. And then I don't know. It was just after that day, I was like, I don't want to do anything ever again besides photo shoots, pretty much, and like just work in fashion. So from then on, I started interning with the fashion department. And then they hired me. And then when I was 18 or 19, they hired me. And then I went on to assist different stylists pretty much until I worked my way up.
Who did you ask at Teen to transition to that department instead?
The fashion editor.
You were just like, I love doing this, will you take
Yeah,
me?
I mean, I was the only person there, literally, like doing everything for them for free, obviously. And then once I was 18, they hired me and started paying me and stuff like that.
I love that story. I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
You
So
heard it
yeah,
here
that
first.
was like where it all started for me. It was
It's so great.
Yeah.
And Chaz. Speaking of Googleable, everything you want to know. So Chaz Dean is responsible for so many celebrities. We met back in the day when I was dressing Paula Abdul for American Idol, which makes me a dinosaur. And we met in the salon. I think it was a gifting suite. And he really just, I remembered Chaz. You know those people you meet and you just remember them. Sometimes it's just you and them, but with Chaz, I feel like he's someone who that happens with every day. You meet Chaz, and he's part of you forever. And luckily, we go to the same gym, so he literally is part of me forever. So Chaz, tell us the start. I know that you mentioned you started in makeup, which is an interesting thing for those of you who love makeup and hair, to kind of feel it out.
Hello, everybody. I actually my start was with photography. In high school, I took photography courses, and I guess I wasn't a great student. I'm, average student, but I found my way through high school through photography. And if you want to know where to find me, it was always in the dark room. Photography.
Yeah, sure.
So after I graduated high school, a week later, my family moved to Arizona. This is in California. Moved to Arizona, and I knew I wanted to go to school for photography to learn even more. Graduated from there. I was 19 years old, ready to move back to California. I'm like, I felt like I was this little tiny minuscule in this huge city. I'm like, I wanted more experience under my belt. So I went back and I went to school for hair. Because I believe in, and I feel like we're hearing this all across the board, is the full picture. It's not just compartmentalizing it, it's the full picture. And you said the exact same thing. I wanted to learn how to do the hair that I saw in my head, the makeup that I visioned in my head, instead of explaining to you, and you, this is what I see. Yeah, that's close, that's good enough, we'll go with that. So I went to school for hair. My whole way through school, it was in Arizona, everyone knew that that's the boy that when he graduates, he's going to move to California and work at Vidal Sassoon. That's what I thought my dream was. So all through high school, he's going to graduate, he's moving back to California, and he's going to work at Sassoon. I knew someone that worked there that was a receptionist. She says, okay, I'll get your foot in the door, I'll get you the interview, the rest is up to you. So I went, and because I did photography, I had all my befores and afters, went on the interview, and in the interview, at the end of it, I felt like it was going really well, and at the end of it, they said, okay, do you want to color or you want to cut? I'm like, I want to do both. And I'm like, I can't separate it. To me, it all goes together. And so they said, well, we specialize, so you got to pick one or the other. And I thought, I'm going to have to think about this, because do I want to be a colorist for my life, or do I want to be a hair cutter? And I ended up not taking the job because I couldn't pick one or the other. And so make sure you remember, you always have choices. I went and worked at a salon, and the Beverly Center was Carlton. It was crazy.
Carlton
you know that one.
I went there in high school.
It was in like the late 80s, and it was like a party. in the mall every day, and it was the artistic center. It was fun. I mean, people go dancing in the window. It was amazing. It was exciting.
People.
It was fun.
Go dancing in the window.
I didn't say me. Everyone either didn't want the front booth that was in the window because they were afraid to be on showcase, or they totally wanted it because they wanted to showcase. But mine started because I started out as an assistant, obviously, and it was in a hustle bustle that every Tuesday and Thursday they had people coming to interview, and there would be 20 people lined up that wanted your job. And this is not a joke, and you probably understand this. You knew if you were not on point and you missed, like you had to do models 5 days a week. You missed 3 models and you were fired. There were no questions. So you had to hustle, I'm not joking, your ass. And out of my whole term, I missed 1 model, but I would go every Sunday, get my models for the week, or Saturday after work, get my models for the week, and if someone were to cancel, I'm like, have backup models. So to me, it's being prepared is a big part of it. At that same time, the company I worked for had their own product line. They didn't have a deep conditioner. We always use the high pro packs. I'm like, I just approached the owners and said, I don't understand this. You have your own product line, but you don't have your own deep conditioner. Why not? And they said, well, if you want, we'll hook you up with a lab if you want to help us create one. No, I'd never done it on my own, but because I posed that question, it opened that door for me. So I did that for them. And about a year later, after we launched it, it was amazing, called Reconstructor. About a year later, they came to me and said, we're thinking of doing a more natural product line. Would you be interested? And I said, sure, but what will I get out of it? Meaning, because now I was 22, I was still young and naive. And I said, what will I get out of it? They're like, well, just prove you can do it first, and then we'll talk about that. So I did it. I created their Primrose Shampoo, Sage Conditioner, Rosemary Conditioner. They launched it. After it happened, went to them saying, you know, what am I going to get from this? Because there was no contract ahead of time. Went to their offices, and they slid a piece of paper over the table to me. And in your mind, you think, I'm not putting any money up, but this wouldn't be happening without me. So you kind of talk your way in the year and a half from here, and this is a lesson, you talk your way from here down to what your worth you think is because of what you're putting into it. So my point was, is I went from maybe 15% to the year and a half later, I'm like, well, if I get like 5%, I'd probably be okay. But I went all the way from there down. Went and had the meeting, they slid a piece of paper across the table to me, and they offered me, and this is not a joke, they offered me a penny per bottle for every bottle manufactured. And I'm like, it was like a slap in the face. Now, they already had the product, so nothing I can do. So they literally offered, and I'm like, okay, that was it. It was that or nothing. But my lesson is I could have been disgruntled and bittered and pissed or whatnot, but I did the opposite. As I gave up shampoo, which May 1st will be 25 years ago that I gave up lather, I opened my first salon. So 25 years ago, the day I opened my salon, I'm like, no more shampoo, because I knew my hands were cracking and bleeding and drying and the color was fading and all the bad things. It made me realize I created this product for them years ago when I had to create shampoo and all these products. Imagine what I can do for myself doing this for myself, and that's what it was. So that was my lesson in it, is don't be disgruntled. You may get burned at the stake many times. But the other part is when they offered me the salon, they were selling the salon, they offered it to me. I'm like, and my first reaction was, hell no, you screwed me over A, B, C, and D. But then I thought about it, I'm like, it's the Bel Air salon. And the only reason it wasn't working for them is because it's a multi-million-dollar neighborhood, and the name Carlton was over the salon. And you would hear from people all the time, like, those women are multimillionaires. They're not going to say they're going to a Carlton. I always told them, just change the name to anything but Carlton, and you will have a successful salon.
Anything.
Anything. Wood, branch, anything. They wouldn't listen. And finally, when they sold it to me, I thought about it, I'm like, the only reason it doesn't work here is because the name that's over the door. And so literally, they sold me the salon. I changed the name, and I changed it to Chaz Dean's Studio because I was a photographer still, and I wanted to promote my name. About a month later, they lived in the neighborhood. So a month later, they walked by and like, it was buzzing and hustling and everything. Like, what did you do? I'm like, I told you guys, all you had to do is change the name. So sometimes the fixes are as little as that, and that's what my point is sometimes it's not a huge change. It's tweaking things, maybe a little bit, which changes everything.
Sometimes when someone steals your ideas, they would only work when they stay as your idea. Does that make sense?
True. I mean, when I launched cleansing conditioner, I mean, the concept, and that was the part of it as well, is when I first opened this salon, I would only order the conditioners that I created for them. Because I would empty out the bottles, mix 1/3 rosemary, 2/3 sage, put it in. Trust me, I promise it works. Just don't lather. And I mean, my clientele started with Nicolette Sheridan. She's been a friend of mine for over 28 years now. Damn. And it's when 90210 was on, and Tori Spelling was dating her brother. She sent me Tori Spelling. Tori Spelling sent me Shannon Doherty, and it just was a trickling effect. And I had Juliana Margulies from ER, and it was the same thing. It's just once I got them off the lather and their hair started getting better, they're like, damn, girl, what are you doing to your hair? And it just automatically was the trickle effect. So.
And think of that too, like, he smiled his way through it, he was charming, he was lovely, he was trustworthy to these celebrities. So if the celebrity world is important to you, they wouldn't have recommended just solely based on him doing a great job on their hair. He did a great job on their hair, and they also knew that they would be in good hands with their time, because you're in that salon for how long, right? How much do you love the person who does your hair? Hours and hours and hours. So it's important, and remember that too. The most important thing you said was about stealing your ideas and coming from it. I had an idea stolen from me where I would always say these funny quotes when I worked somewhere, and they made t-shirts, and they started putting my quotes on the t-shirts and not giving me I didn't even get a penny. But
Oh, I never got that either. I blocked away from that.
no,
Go
you
ahead.
and Chaz has a lot of pennies now. So I ultimately learned I had good ideas. That taught me the lesson that you say funny things, you say in creative things, you have great ideas, and I learned a lesson from it. Yeah. It's almost like who here, obviously we post our outfits on Instagram, right? And you post a really good outfit, and then somebody else copies that outfit and doesn't do a very good job. Your idea, but it ain't good anymore, right? Just like that. That simple. I know a couple personal stories on that side of the room, but I won't share. But we know that feeling, right? I love that. And I love that I was going to talk to everyone about a low moment in their career. Don't we want to hear that too? Like, when you were at your low, what was it and how'd you come from it? Do you guys have any stories about you woke up one day and maybe something got bad criticism, or you lost a client, or you felt like you weren't as good as everyone knew you were? Have you ever had anything like that? I see the eye contact from Yusef here. Tell us everything.
I wouldn't say it was a low point. I think it was more of a realization. You know what I mean? When you are around, well, me moving to New York and being around so many people that were moving and shaking, and stylists and photographers, and here I am, like, trying to figure out, where do I fit in, you know? And how do I relate? You know, how do I sit in on these conversations with these people who were, you know, just shooting Vogue, and, you know, they're like, so what did you do yesterday?
We've all been to that dinner.
Yeah, so, like, I shot, like, some puppies yesterday, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, so it was just like really, but I learned very fast that, you know, being in that circle was enough, you know? Being able to ask questions and not be afraid, and not, you know, just humbling yourself, and being that young guy that's saying, like, hey, I want to do what you're doing. Like, how do I shoot Vogue? Like, how do I, you know, but, you know, and for someone, like, not understanding what that is, it could make you feel really insecure, and, you know, and I think for me, that didn't last very long, because I was like, I got to get the hell out of this feeling, you know what I mean? I know my worth, and I did my research, you know, and I lived underneath fashion magazines and history of fashion, so I could talk the talk, I could walk the walk, you know. It wasn't about the actual work. It was just knowing your craft, knowing the history of fashion, being immersed into what you wanted to do, you know, and I think it helped me get out of that, you know, feeling immediately.
I see that, and those moments when you're at those dinners and you're like, everyone here has worked with Vogue. And I dress my mom. You're like, like, I didn't realize that person I went on a date with was gonna bring me to this, and suddenly I have nothing to say, but you do rise from it. And suddenly you're like, I'm the person at dinner with the people who work with Vogue. If you look at it that way, you rise from it and you know your talents, and then next time you go out to dinner with people like that, you're like, I was at this dinner with these Vogue people.
Yeah, like,
Right? And
stupid
roll your
people.
eyes like you do it all the time. Like, there's ways to rise from that moment and use it, right? I love that. Thank you for sharing that moment of feeling like you're not enough. Because, I mean, once a week, don't we all have that feeling where you're like, someone else is doing it better? or you feel they're doing it better, or someone tells you they are doing it better than you, right? We all got that friend.
That's how I felt when I walked in and saw Chaz. I'm like, oh shit. Am I in the right room?
He's got QVC on his shoulder, you know
Right?
what I mean?
Like, come on.
I want to hear from my fashion girls real quick. So Jamie and Natalie, we know that Kira is self-taught in a lot of what she does. She kind of just used her own face, right, as your teacher. What's something that you've taught yourself in the mix that wasn't school, it wasn't a boss, it wasn't a client? What's something that you've had to do? I don't care if it has to do with a lint roller or has to do with dating. Like, I want to hear all of it.
You just, I don't know. You just kind of have to put yourself out there, I guess, to get what you want, like no matter what field you're in. Like I decided at 15 that I wanted to be in this industry, and I just went for it and looked on MapQuest where the closest magazine was, and it was down the street from me. So I walked there at 5 o'clock. I remember on a Tuesday, and I walked in and there was barely anyone in the office, and I was like, "Can I intern?" You just have to put yourself out there, I feel, and you teach yourself as you go, no matter what it is, I think.
There's something to be said about showing up and knocking on the door.
Yeah.
That's how Jenny McCarthy did it? She walked to Playboy in Chicago, knocked on the door, went to the receptionist, said, "I want to be in your magazine," and they told her to go away. Mm-hmm. And as she was going away, somebody walked by who was leaving for lunch or for the day and was like, "Who are you? We need you." And all of a sudden now she's Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah, right place, right time.
You have a lot in common with her, obviously.
Obviously. We're twins.
Yeah.
Unbutton one more button, all right?
Twins, or 3.
All the girls that I have created relationships with are people that I've just been on set with and have recognized the connection, and it's kind of been very organic. And putting yourself out there and just being like, "Hey, next time you have a huge event or a red carpet, let me know if you need someone to help you dress or whatever." And honestly, that's how all of my clients have come to be. Being in New York, it's a lot of model clients for me. But it's also talking about learning as you go. Me being in PR before, I definitely, when I transitioned over to the styling side, didn't know the technical side of things. Every red carpet that I do, I learn something. Whether it's my eye goes to the hem and I'm like, "Shh, we should have done a little bit shorter."
Always.
Or you see the hem hanging because you used a new tailor and they didn't really, they didn't double up on their
Tailors
thread.
are very
Exactly.
And you're like, holy moly, this is the
Or
Golden
you're
Globes.
on a shoot and they want the skirt to be flying in the air, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sew a piece of fishing wire onto this skirt and stand behind and finagle
it's made of
something,
wool.
and it's kind of just winging it and going along, and it's not brain surgery, but it's a fast pace and you got to think on your toes and be prepared.
It's survival.
Yeah.
It is.
I do
You never know what someone's going to say to you. It's like National Geographic. It's like Naked and Afraid, but everyone's wearing clothes.
It's so
true.
The shit we have to come
I've
up
even
with.
had a moment where we're on these sound stages, and if you've been on a sound stage, especially in LA, to go from one to the other, you're on a street, and there's a bunch of holes in the street and all that, and you're bringing these rolling racks everywhere. And how many times have you dropped a rolling rack? I have a scar on my eyebrow from one hitting me once.
I have a scar on my ankle from one.
I have a scar on my wrist from a steamer.
No, it happens.
I have a
But I
little-
learned if you put bungee cords around the hangers, they will stay in place. So you learn and you use finally the stuff my dad gave me for my trunk for emergencies came in handy, right?
Yeah.
The bungee cords finally are saving fashion.
Oh my
But
God,
it's something like that where you realize the survival. I would love to go to the audience. And my little lover in the front with the blonde hair, she keeps raising that hand every time, and I finally want to hear from you. Do we have a microphone, or can you just talk loud? How are we going to play? Stand up, my dear. What's your name?
My name is Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
I wanted to know the difference between being a stylist in LA and being a stylist in New York.
Interesting. Why don't we start with New York?
One is just models.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, the entertainment industry is truly based out of LA, and the fashion capital is New York City. So you're bound to, have more opportunities with editorial and advertising in New York and those red carpet celebrity opportunities in LA.
Yeah. You do more like models, like you get all the models out here.
And the models live here, but they're also going to these fabulous events, and these girls have also created brands for themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's kind of different, but
in New York, I feel is like a little more serious. Like I feel like everyone takes it a lot more serious than they do.
You crack a joke in New York, and
LA.
everyone looks at you like, not now.
And you can tell that over email. Like when
Not
you're
the
emailing
time.
people, like
this is fashion. Fashion is silent.
yeah, it's very like I with
It's
my
straight to the
emails, I'm
point.
like, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? And then I'm like XX at the end. And New York is just like one word, and when they write back, and I'm like, okay.
what time is it getting dropped off?
Yeah, what time's it getting
When I
dropped
write,
off?
when
And
I
I'm
write
like,
emails to New York, I sign it, thank you, Daniel Musto. When I send emails to LA, it's thanks,
Yeah.
Daniel Musto. Like there's like a definite
Yeah.
shift in it.
definitely.
Right? With an emoji.
yeah, like happy face. Yeah, no, always.
But I definitely see the difference. And also in New York,
Yeah.
you're dealing with a lot of these models who have the bodies that the samples are made for.
Right,
And in the
LA.
entertainment industry, just because you're a great singer doesn't mean you're a size 4. So a
Right.
lot of times we're dealing with different
2.
body types in LA even more than
Sample size 2.
00, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it's something that we have to deal with in battle. And I feel like the LA client is also more criticized because they're a little bit more publicized
Definitely.
and
And
they
how
have
do you
more
get
dirty
around
laundry.
town with all the samples and everything? It's just
Messengers,
like car service,
messengers.
messengers.
Yeah,
See-
messengers, which means
Yeah.
budgets. And in the beginning in New York, you don't have budgets. So if you don't
Yeah.
have messengers bringing you stuff, how big is your suitcase? You know,
Right.
Right.
And how big are your biceps?
Yeah.
How much can you schlep?
Yeah, every time I do a job out here, I'm always like just winded. Like in the first hour, I'm like, how'd that? Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's
a
pretty
lot. You like
crazy.
need a car,
And you gotta
really need a car.
find an assistant that you love and trust, like mine right over there, who's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hi. What's her name?
Shalene.
Shalene. Hi,
Shout
Shalene.
out.
I knew she was smiling at me for a reason. She's sick of you. She wants to work with me now. I got it. I saw that.
Don't you dare.
Yeah. Assistants and tailors are very important to
Exactly.
keep very close.
Yeah, but it's a lot of logistics, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Awesome question. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. I love this LA versus New York thing.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Just kidding.
A question you think others might have that we should share? Yes, in the corner? Is that a corner? I don't know why I said corner.
Hello.
Hi,
this
what's
is
your name?
Dwayne Richards.
Hi, Dwayne Richard.
Hi. So this is to the panel, specifically more towards Chaz and Yusef. How do you know when it's the time for the next right move, as Oprah puts it?
For the next one.
The next right move for your career.
Yeah, how do you know that it's time?
When you're
almost
asking
like-
that question, honestly, no,
Yeah.
honestly, when you're asking that question, anytime it gets, like my day, not one day is ever the same. So it's like when you become too complacent or if you're asking that question, it's time. Seriously, because I would never think that, you know what I mean? And mine, I'm lucky that from day one, I knew what I wanted to do. And my mom watches over me now for 17 years from cancer, but before she passed, she would always worry, like, first it was as a stylist, and I'm like, Mom, I'm a Leo, and I'm like, no matter what, I'll fall on my feet. I will always land on my feet, whether it's photography, whether it's hair, whether it's makeup. If not, I'd be an architect. It'll always be something creative, and you just know, if you're ever bored with it, it's time. It's definitely time.
Yeah, if you don't feel like going anymore, if you're like, I don't want to go to work today, it's change. It might not
You
happen
should never
tomorrow.
feel that way.
We all don't want to go. I mean, Maggie from Just Fab wants to go to work every day, so she's the last person I should be making eye contact with.
No.
Yeah, I mean, just one thing is mine with clients, I've always, from day one, I had clients sitting in my chair that hated their jobs, and that was part of why I got in my industry as well, as I worked at 1 hour photo labs and told you how to dress and couldn't have an earring and couldn't do, I'm like, I could not imagine living my life every day with, can't do this, can't wear this, no, that's not okay, I'm like, I want to live in an industry where I can be and dress and express my hair, if I want tattoos or I want earrings, whatever it is, I could not have lived my life stifled like that. And when I had clients in my chair, seeing them in their jobs, and my dad was that way. My dad worked for Prudential Life Insurance from graduating high school till he retired. He wasn't happy with what he did at all. And I'm like, Dad, you needed to move on, but he thought he had to support the family. So when people sit in my chair, I'm like, and they ask those type of questions, I'm like, what is your passion? What are you passionate about? And that's what you should be doing. And you can't think of the money portion of it. Whatever your passion is, all the rest falls in place then. Because people think, well, I have a wife and kids and to have support this way. When you listen to your inner passion, that's why you're here. We're all here to create and express. And when you do that, all the rest, like all of us, it falls in place.
Raise your hand if you feel stifled right now in any part of your life, right? You feel like you need to get out. Who's felt stifled before? Right? Everybody. You don't raise your hand, you ain't listening. That's just you. Think of it this way, that the money will follow because money comes from people believing in you, right? You get jobs, you get followers, you get clients. It's other people believing in you. And this is so cheesy, and I'll always reference Disney movies. But frickin' Belle reads her damn books because she loves reading her damn books so much. She runs through town and everybody wants a piece of Belle. They're giving her bread, they're giving her this, they're giving her more books. That bitch is just walking around in a stupid dress through the town, but she's reading her book and she's doing what she loves and everyone's giving her what she needs. That's who you need to be. Does that make sense?
Follow your heart, follow your passion.
Ooh, all right,
Follow
Belle.
your
Follow your
inner
heart and follow your
I
passion.
guess
Follow your inner passion.
think of it that simply. Like, dear Disney princess is finally something we can believe in, right? I ain't Cinderella. And I know, Yusef, you had an answer as well.
Well, I mean, you pretty much answered it. I'm a Leo just like you. So, my spirit animal. But yeah, I always tell people that come to me that want to do something different and they want to break into the industry and take it to the next level. And my first thing is, are you willing to sacrifice? And I think that's the most important thing is being willing to sacrifice what you're comfortable doing. You know what I mean? Like, just put that aside and walk away from things that hold you down, and all the goodness will come after. You just really have to be able to sacrifice, and stay focused and be true, to yourself and what it is that you want to do.
There's a lot of sacrificing
It will
in this
just come
industry.
because I worked in a salon where, and being in New York City and like, shit, I gotta work, I gotta eat, I gotta I gotta survive. And I worked in a salon and they were like, you gotta wear all black, you gotta take your earrings out, you gotta look this way, you can't talk too much. And I was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. But I knew.
That was my breaking point too.
I knew that I knew my worth and I knew that I was bringing talent to the salon. And the minute I started walking out the door, they were like, but wait, you're the only one that can wear sneakers. You're the only one that can, you know what I mean? So, the door is open and, because you got to know your shit, you know what I mean? And then, everything else would just fall in line.
We don't love uniforms, right?
No uniforms.
No.
My mom works
Artists.
at Whole Foods. She went and got a pink Whole Foods hat made so that she looks different than everybody. And you best bet when Wendy Williams walked into that Whole Foods and needed something, she went straight for my mama. And she told her she likes that pink hat. You stand out. You don't conform. And one last question, yeah. Go.
So I'm just curious, since it's a panel of stylists, what styles or fashion trends do you like the most, or feel it's like the next thing,
Fashions and trends that we feel are the next thing.
or that you like that personally you?
Totally, because there's so much. It's so congested, right?
Yeah.
Every style is celebrated because we have more than just magazines now. We're all in control. What's something that you see next? Kira, what do you see?
For beauty,
Yeah.
let's see. For beauty, well, skin is always in, and I think that it's not going to ever go away. Less is more, and I think also lots of fun graphic liner.
Ooh, graphic liner's a good one, yeah.
Yep, and kind of like the upside down liner instead of focusing on the top. Maybe on
An
the
amazing
bottom.
answer because it's so unconventional again. So the upside down liner is something that will go away.
I'm like the
but it's cool right
unconventional
now.
one here.
Yeah, you are. You're so
Wild.
I know, she's so smart, guys. She's so smart for a makeup artist, isn't she? Ooh, right? How about you, Natalie? What do you see?
Oh, am I still sitting up here? Like, how me?
No, you did such a beautiful job on Ashley for that award show where she had
Thanks.
that Woodstocky boho look. Like everyone was posting that outfit. No one had heard
that
from
the
Ashley in a
AMA
while.
AMA
Yeah,
one?
it was amazing. And
Yeah.
it was a little bit more boho than the other
Yeah.
people there, but she still looked just as glamorous.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thing is like the boho, edgy situation. But I'm really into the 70s now. I've always been Cher is my biggest icon. I love Cher. Yeah, I think, not just because I'm wearing one, but suits are also just really in with the boot situation and I don't know, just think 70s
70s and suits.
70s
Suits were hard to find for
suits,
women for a while. Now,
boots, a lot of like
there's a lot.
thigh-high, knee-high boots with like longer dresses. That's kind of where
I
my
love
head's
that,
at
too.
right now.
Anything else jumping at you before we say goodbye to our beautiful audience? We're also going to be outside too. That's an awesome question. And the trends are so deep in our minds, and there's so many of them that it
Yeah.
really depends on the client too. Right?
It depends, yeah,
For
because
sure.
you have to like do what they like, but then amp it up with what you know and what you think is
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
the next
I think it's important
thing,
to
you know?
stay true to their personal style
Yeah.
and promote that. And
Yeah.
number one, you always want them to feel
Like themselves.
their best
Yeah.
selves and comfortable, and maybe push them and elevate it. But and it's all about balance for me, anyways. Balancing out sex appeal with sophistication and the hard and the soft. And I
Exactly.
think it's finding the balance and staying true to their personal style.
And everybody wants sex appeal. Every client does, whether they say it or not. Everybody wants sex appeal.
It's
So
true.
remember that. Compliment
Yeah.
something that's sexy on your client or your potential client. It'll latch on to them. Now, with that, please put your hands together for these beautiful people. I'm humbled to be up here with them. So many of them I had known of in the past and I'd looked up to, and it's just so special to be here with you guys. And I want to make sure that you're following us so we can follow your journey in return. And the way I do that at the end of these, if we can, without stomping on each other, find our way to the center of the room, I'm going to take a selfie from the stage with all of us in it. That way it's on Instagram, so if you have to run and you don't get your picture with us, we all have our little face popping up in there, okay? Right? We like that? And then if we want to chat with us after, just exit the door to the left and we'll be hanging out in that lobby there. All right? Round of applause again. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Biggest kisses to you and the best of luck to every one of you.